Great, I can see some people starting to join us. That's great. It's just gone 11 o'clock, so we will let a few more people join before we get going. So get comfortable and give your dog a biscuit if, like me, it's going to sit next to you and try and join the call. I think we've got quite a few people still coming in, so I'll give it another minute or so. But thank you to everyone here who's here already, who's nice and prompt and ready to go. I suppose that's one of the things about doing everything online is it's hard to be late unless you need to rush to the kettle between meetings. Actually, maybe we should need to put that in our planning a bit more, that there's a time for that. Look, I can see Sarah having her tea. You're gonna, because we're all on camera, you can see us all having our tea.
Yeah. So I've got a beautiful one today. So.
I think you do need to remember to mute with the sort of guzzling of tea. That's the thing. Okay, we've got a few more people coming in, which is brilliant. Might just give it 30 seconds and then we'll get underway. Yep, the little number's ticking over. Thank you everyone for joining us. And hopefully very soon we won't be using this technology platform anymore. We'll soon be all 100% doing webinars from Teams, but we're going to wait for Microsoft to release a few more features yet before we do that, but won't be long at all. Okay, it's probably a good idea for us to get going. I'll kick things off and we'll click through, but thank you everyone for joining us. This is the first of our new series of webinars post the, well, let's say interruption of the pandemic and the summer. So we're back on focusing 100% on Microsoft Modern Workplace now. So let me just introduce us and what we're going to be doing and talking about today. So Sarah, you want to just take me through the slides? You can be my assistant in this matter.
Yeah.
So this is us. We are Sarah and Kate and Seisha, and we're from Clarkswell. I'm still seeing the same screen on the first slide.
Okay, hang on. No.
Yep.
That's because I didn't unpause
it. This is a team effort, isn't it? It's a team. Let's all do PowerPoint at this together. So here we are. Look, it is us. Here we are. You know. Hello. Oh look, and we see actually above ourselves. Oh, that was just really clever. How did we manage that? I don't know. This is us. So we are in the modern workplace practice here at Clarkswell, and I'll tell you a bit more about Clarkswell in a minute. But essentially, we've decided, strangely, I can't imagine why, to call ourselves a bit of a nickname, which is Ginger 365, just because Kate, Sarah and I all just happen to be redheads, which is a strange coincidence. And what we're going to be doing over this series is talking to you about the things that are happening right sort of at the cutting edge of the Microsoft Workplace practice, but also not just the technology, a bit more about sort of how to do things and best to do things. And Sarah's worked in engagement heavily with our team for a long time, and she's going to be leading that discussion today. So let's just jump through to the actual agenda. I think it's the next slide. Click. Hey, here we are. So just 5 minutes about us. Yep, there it is. And then we're going to go through some of these questions around what we've sort of identified are the big challenges for modern workplace, and specifically around the 2020 challenges. So we're going to be talking a little bit around true teamwork, true remote work, individual health and well-being, which is actually seems a lot more than just a buzz term at the moment. The concept of corporate comms in an environment where we're all just busy chatting to each other at the sort of team chat level. We have to talk about search because nobody ever does, and it's dull, but if we do talk about it, you'll be rewarded. And then a little bit about how we might move forward after this. Okay, so next slide, please. Right, so this is us. We're Clarkswell. We've been around since 1996, and every time I say that, I hope that Kate doesn't say that that's she's been around that long too. Anyway, let's not go there, but some of us have been doing this for 20 years. And Clarkswell is a digital agency, so we do websites like Sitecore and Bracco, that sort of thing, and we also do Microsoft technologies in the modern, what is now the modern workplace arena. So that's everything that is now 365. It used to be called Office 365, now it's just called Microsoft 365, so we need to keep up with that. We're very SharePointy. We've been SharePointy for an extremely long time, and that was basically where our roots are. But we've now pivoted into Teams because obviously that's the direction where a lot of corporate comms are going, and it's where people are experiencing a lot of their work environment, particularly since COVID. We're also the makers of an intranet product called EasyShare, which has also been around since 2012, which has evolved through various versions of SharePoint and has now evolved 100% to be modern SharePoint. So that's us. So I think we've probably got a lot of credibility to talk about this thing, and we can also unfortunately talk about it for hours, so we'll have to keep moving. How do we help people? You know, we as an agency, we'll build stuff, we'll help you, we'll give you advice. We're a Microsoft partner, so we're very close to what's happening in terms of the technology that's coming down the pipe. If you'd like to talk to us afterwards, obviously we'll do this salesy spiel, but meantime we just want to have a bit of a chat about the modern world. Okay, that's the dog there. Oh yeah, that's the usual slide. Haven't we worked with lots of people? Are we clever? Yes, we are. Okay, all right, let's keep going. Okay, so the first question, I think Sarah's going to answer this for me, is I've been talking to a lot of people over the last few months who are very proud of being of their pivot to the remote working environment, but essentially all they're doing is just having Teams meetings, and I know that's great because there are some organizations who that's a huge step for, but I want to talk a bit more about what real remote working would mean and what people should be doing to kind of work better and not just sit on those calls. How could they be doing more and experiencing a true collaborative remote experience?
That's a great question. So, and you're really right. Teams and Office 365 is so much more than the video calling. So, I mean, you could be using Google Meet or Zoom to do video calling, and you get a pretty similar experience. But Teams has got so much more to offer than that. I'm going to talk through 4 different things that I think would really help you. So, and you might be already doing some of these. You might be already doing all of these, and that's great. So maybe some of the things that I'll talk about later on in the session will be more relevant to you. So what we're doing at Clarkswell is trying to match those business problems into what Office 365 can do. So the first thing with doing team meetings is to look at how you're using the documents that support those meetings. So it's about making the most of what's there already in Office 365. So you might have a collaborative notebook. So we run all of our meetings, so our weekly meetings for different topics are run using OneNote, and that means that the previous meetings notes are right there on screen and we can dive back to them. You don't have to do any head scratching. It's all there collaboratively, and you can put that right in the team, which means if you onboard a new person, it's all there inside the team. The second thing is to think about how you can help people out. So it might have been a big shock for everybody to suddenly be working from home and to be juggling children or just completely isolated from everybody that you might normally be interacting with. And so people might have settled down into sort of getting by with doing things. So now might be the time to sort of say, well, okay, now we're settling down and this looks like this is going to be happening for the long term, a significant portion of definitely the rest of the year into the spring. So how can you help people out? So can you run small training sessions? Can you provide information that would help people to get on board? So And as comms people, we can really help people. So IT might have been really swamped and they haven't had so much time to go, okay, this is OneNote, this is how it works. Can you help them along that journey? Can you do 10-minute slide sessions where people just drop in and you go, this is OneNote, this is how you might use it? Or can you do a 1-minute video that you can upload onto the intranet and people can click it and go, oh, do you know what, my team can do that? Okay, and that applies to all of the things that are there in Office 365 that help this sort of team productivity. So that might be Planner, it might be PowerPoint, it might be Word, it might be Excel. So just make the most of what you've got there inside of Office 365. Look at how people might be doing things in a slightly different way, and look for good examples. It might be that there is someone in your team who's already doing amazing things with one of these pieces of technology, and they'd be really happy to stand up in a team meeting and go, this is how I do this, blah, blah, blah. And that helps you along the journey, and that makes it really credible if you can get people involved. And it might be that that person wouldn't normally vocalize within a team meeting, so that's helping them on their journey and enhancing their soft skills. So people might be in this sort of virtual world, people might be missing out on things that are business related. So when we're in open plan offices, you might hear a snippet of a conversation or a phone call and be able to offer help. And that doesn't happen so much in the virtual world because everyone's kind of here with their headsets on, so we don't hear what's going on. And so you can really help that process by working out loud. So the acronym for that is WOL. You might have seen that somewhere. And so you can do a couple of things. You can have daily stand-up meetings that help everybody stay in touch. And you might develop other working out loud techniques. So I'm just looking for, sorry, I was looking for the right slide there. So I might come back and show you that Teams one in just a moment. So get everybody into the habit of setting their status all the time. You might have some colleagues who set all of their appointments in Outlook are actually all just tasks. And they're things where they could be interrupted. So you can say, you can just adjust your status and say, am I busy where I really do need to focus and I don't need anyone to interrupt me? Or am I just working on a particular thing? I'm going to tell people I'm working on this, but I'm available for questions. So get everybody
so that
into the
little, what
habit.
we can see there is that
Yep,
you can
that's
see
fine.
that's something that they would do in Teams. They would adjust their
Yep,
status at a
yep.
sort of,
And this is
you know, the beginning of the
completely
day or
interlinked.
something like that.
Yeah, completely interlinked with Outlook. It's got some great features, like you can see that this one says display until 23:59. So when you set your status, you can say, do this for the next hour or any period of time. It will also match to what you're doing in your Outlook. So you can set things up in Outlook. So it's up to you. You can do it in Teams, you can do it in Outlook. The two things will talk to each other and they'll let people know what's going on. So it's really well integrated and it can be fantastic. And so, but it's a thing it's a habit. It's a change thing that we do this as a team, so that you know that you can rely on that bit of information rather than just sort of always knowing, oh, Joe, he's always busy. I won't ever bother him.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because we
That would
don't
be,
like to be
if you
interrupted.
see that little red light, yeah, if you see that red light, you think,
I'm not
well, you know,
interrupting
they're
you. Yeah.
probably, I mean, are they on a presentation or something? But exactly, to say sort of it's okay to kind of knock on my door virtually, as it were.
Yeah. So just
Okay.
have that as the habit. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to my Teams thing. So maybe this is a
Yeah.
really good opportunity to, if you don't have any Teams rules, start with them. So this is a really good example that
What
we
governance?
produced for a
This is a
client.
governance, is
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. This is governance. But this is like, we have rules and we've been plunged into this world where we don't know the rules. So just make some rules and tell people what they are. And then that make everybody happy. And it might be, if you've got something like this, you need to just update it for the new situation we're in and communicate it out to people. If you don't have any rules, just give them some rules and everybody will feel a bit happier about things. Okay, so there's some things that you can do in your team working to really help people along that journey. That's that. So I think I've probably said enough about that one. I can talk for hours about
Yeah.
any of these
Don't
topics.
worry. We can
Let's
have
move
more,
on.
very, very many more webinars about this. All right. So the next question then. So that's a sense of sort of as a team, we're going to work better together. We're sharing stuff. We're using all of those different things like Planner and OneNote to collaborate rather than sort of be all on our own. But if we are all on our own, what are we going to do about that? Because I've really noticed there's so much language around mental health and well-being, and even Microsoft is saying Teams is all about your well-being. I mean, how real is this? And what is it that you think that ought to be, so people ought to be done sort of in terms of as an individual to improve the situation?
Sure. So, and as you mentioned, there are loads of things coming down the line with Microsoft, but they've actually done loads of things already. There are things that can help you with your own productivity. So there's this great feature called My Analytics, which is it's a fantastic resource if you've not looked at it. Let me just go in and show you what it looks like. I thought I had the screen up there. And it shows you about your working day, and it sends you an email. So you might have seen this pop up in your email and go, oh, I don't know what that is, I'll look at it later. But it tells
Yeah,
you
I
how
think I
you're
have. Yeah,
doing with
exactly. It
things.
looks like
Yeah,
spam.
yeah. So I'm not going to read it, but go back, read it. It's actually really helpful. And so it's telling you about things that you're doing in your daily work. So do you have, and this is not my real profile, this is my pretend profile for our demo. So it maybe doesn't
Are you saying
get
you actually work
so,
harder than this? Is that what you're trying
I
to tell
hope I
me?
do. so, um, so, and it allows you to do things like set up when your working time is, because we've actually been plunged into this world where we might have more flexibility with our work time than we used to, and we might have to have more time. So, for instance, I mean, my kids are back at school now, but there was time when during the day when I would normally have been working, it wasn't possible to work because I was doing things with kids and setting up homeschool and things like that. So I was actually doing my work time in the evenings. And I know that that's not great for well-being if you're working end to end in the day, but we were plunged into this situation and you can't control it. But
Yeah.
you don't have to plunge everybody else into your situation. So if I'm sending out emails at 10 o'clock at night, I'm doing things like I'm setting them that they'll go the next morning. So because I don't want to disturb someone and say, I'm working, so you should be working. But you can
Yeah,
set up your quiet time. And if I just go back to the presentation here, there we go. So I set my quiet time to have the days that I don't work. So on my phone, I don't get any of the app alerts. So Outlook, Teams don't pop up and say, this is going on and this is going on, because in the time that I'm not working, I need to be focused on not working. I need to be focused on the thing that I'm doing, whether it's making dinner or homeschool or going to Pilates. I need to focus on those things and not let everything blend in together. So there are some really great tools there within the products to help you to do that. So one is this, using the analytics to reflect on what's going on, setting up your quiet hours within, and this
yeah.
is something you do in Outlook, but it transfers into Teams as well. Like I said before, with the status, these things are completely interlinked. So they're really, really helpful for that. Okay, and I've gone slightly sideways with this. So I'm just going to come back to this slide here, because we've lost, where we've come out of office situations, we've lost some of our social glue. When you go into the office and you see people, there are lots and lots of micro transactions that are happening all the time, micro interactions. So you notice someone's new hairstyle. You might see a colleague who looks like they're a bit stressed about something, that they've got their hands on their heads, and you pick up on those things. You can make someone a cup of tea and say, do you need a chat? Do you need help with the thing that you're doing? And we're missing out on that, where we're all completely separated. And some of our colleagues who have always been separated because they've been out home working for a long time are much more used to this. But we've got some opportunities now to make this more general. So it might be that you need to set up or reinstate some of the things that are happening. So if your company had lots of lunchtime walking groups or reading groups like book club, or like a crafting club that happened like once a week on in a lunchtime, then you can recreate those online. You can create a channel for them in Teams. You could create a whole new team for them, and you can just create those spaces. So where we would have had those opportunities, present them within the online environment too. So it might be that you need just a 15-minute coffee break time slotted into the whole team's thing. So, and not everybody has to go every day, but if you do need a chat and you need a kind of like, oh, do you know what, I'm having a rough day because my builders are here and this is going on, or one of my kids is sick, or I just need to talk stuff through, you get that social glue by putting in these interactions. And it feels a little forced and contrived to start with, but we can get there.
Is that why you would say Microsoft's making those changes in Teams, like the visual changes, to try and make people feel more connected during those kinds
Yeah,
of
you maybe
discussions?
saw my slide as we popped through. There are got some really great
Yeah.
things happening in Teams. I'm really excited to see them. So you're going to be able to present when you're in a video meeting. There'll be different ways. So not just blurring your background like we're used to, but being able to
Yeah.
kind of put yourselves together so that you feel like you're in a situation like this. There are conference rooms. There are these more sort of friendly ones, and I just thought this was a fun way of showing, because Sasha and I have joined this meeting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
okay,
right. Yeah,
so
sitting there waiting for
there's
our
a slide
coffees.
there with the my
Okay.
analytics. Yeah, so
Yeah. All right.
so
So
there's
that's
lots of
we've sort
different
of done
things.
the kind of small medium approach. So that's kind of as an individual and as a team. I'm sure there's lots of comms people on this call who are saying, well, what about those big, the proper official authoritative corporate messaging that would normally be sort of taking place? And I know a lot of organizations have used their intranets traditionally for that, and we've helped people to do that. But now we're seeing people in that sort of, say, in a Teams environment where everything's around the chat. How are we managing the big messaging side of things? Because obviously
Sure,
it
sure.
needs to be a balance between all of these.
Of course, of course. And yeah, and we have seen people complaining that that they're losing their people aren't going to intranet homepages so much. So we might have lots of lovely pages that we've built really well within our intranet, but if people are always in Teams, they're not seeing them so much anymore. So the answer to that is to bring that news inside Teams, and you might need to look at the technical stuff around this. So it's very, very easy if your news is generated in modern SharePoint pages, you can get it to look like this
Yeah.
with a couple of clicks. You add a tab, you say, I want to add news, sorry, I want to add a SharePoint pages, and it comes up with the option to say, I want news. Okay, and then I just pop it in and it's there as a tab and I've got it, and it's all, see how quick that was? Three clicks.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay, but that's if that content is there generated inside a modern SharePoint site. It might be a little bit trickier if
Yeah.
you aren't using a SharePoint modern site. So I have an
Yeah.
example here where we have a SharePoint page, and this can be embedded into Teams instead of that kind of pull through that we've just seen. So you'd see this whole page, but it's got a mixture. So some of these pages here are in our classic SharePoint, and some of the pages, if I scroll down to the bottom, this one here is in a modern page, and so I've got a blend of those things
Okay.
working together, and so there are various different web parts that you can plug in to do this one. This one is actually a third-party one. It's not out of the box SharePoint, so that might be something that if you've got this situation, you might need to come to a partner like us to help you to do this, or you might have a bod in IT who might be able to help you to do that. But it's kind of like, where is our news at the moment? How do we get it into Teams? And you can use that facility of adding tabs, and those tabs can be inside. So this is just inside the general one for
Mm-hmm.
London. And it's pulling back specifically London articles. I might have a more general one that's pulling back all articles in the all staff. I can have them like the HR was in HR. And so you just need to think, okay, what have I got and how do I get it in? Okay, and then there's a whole different other question is, have people stopped generating news because they're so focused on their different way of working that they stop generating? So you might need to have a push to say, we need to know what's going on. Tell us about it. Get your thought leaders to start regenerating. So maybe this is a time where you can just go, okay, we've maybe got a breather. Let's regenerate. Let's get in touch with different parts of the business and see how we can generate more content and get it going again, get that ball moving. Okay, because we know that getting content moving gets other people thinking, oh, I could tell you that, I could tell you that, and then it's all good. Okay. I think.
Yeah, well, I think I mean,
So
I also know what the topic of our next webinar is going to be, which is all about really building your intranet into Teams. So I'm sure we can talk a little bit more about that then. We've got about 5 minutes left, so I just want to touch briefly on search, because obviously you'll have your team who have built their beautiful intranet, and it's got an amazing user experience and incredibly well-defined information architecture, but there are people who just go to the search bar and that's how they engage 100% with all of the information that they want. So what's your advice around search for those of us who are wringing our hands?
We can talk for hours about this, so I'm going to be very quick. This is where I use my messy room or messy house analogy. So imagine your SharePoint is like a house crammed full of stuff. How do you make it easy to for people to find stuff when they're in a hurry? How do you make it easy for everybody to find what they need? So here's some handy steps that even Marie Kondo would be really proud of. The first thing is you tidy up. You put all the similar stuff together. You move documents and files into logically named places. And that's going to be a good start. And flip my page over.
So probably it's a good time to do some of those jobs now, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
this would be,
definitely.
you know, with people.
Do you know what? It's always a good time to do these things. Yep. You never stop tidying.
Right? Yeah.
Never ever. Marie Kondo would never say tidying is a thing that happens and then you never do it again. Tidying happens all the time.
Yeah. Not only just for a once in 100-year pandemic. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. The second thing is label stuff. Okay. You can find stuff if it's got labels. And when we're talking about documents, this is metadata. So you want to think about what sort of labels would help people to find things. And the great things about databases, or document libraries, in comparison to houses, is that you can have different views. So you can cross-section. So you can say, show me all things labeled with HR. And you can't do that with things in the house. You can't press a magic button yet and say, find me all the yellow things in my house, because that doesn't work. So my analogy doesn't quite work with that, but label stuff. If it's well labeled, you'll be able to find it, and someone else will be able to find it too. The third thing is to encourage deletion. Marie Kondo says throw stuff away. Okay, so you might want to encourage people by having an event like a donut and delete, or a biggest loser event. So congratulate or prizes for the team who can get rid of the most stuff, because if they've got rid of it, what's left is the important stuff. Okay. The fourth thing is you teach people how to use search. Okay, because the people who are most frustrated with search are the people that don't know how to use it. There are tips and tricks of how to do that, and I've done a whole session on this. I think there's a video on our website around this. So you might come back to this. So it's the terms and the way that you search for things. The fifth thing is the curated content pages. So like I was showing you before, where you might have an HR page that's got HR news related articles. If you put stuff in a logical place and you display it beautifully, people will come back and go, oh, that was a helpful place. I felt calm when I was looking at that page. I'm going to come back and look for more information there. Rather than going to search and doing it there where it's frantic, you go to this beautifully created page. Imagine it's like your beautiful living room, and it's going to be a place that people return to. Okay, so I think that's my 5 things.
Yeah, okay, so I think we've only probably got about a minute left now. So just to wrap up, we were going to have a few more questions, and I see that people have submitted them, but I think we'll have to save them for next time. So just a reminder that we're offering some free consultancy with our 365 team, which if you're interested, do get in touch. As we've said before, we're happy to just have a bit of a chat, help you move forward with a little report, no pressure, no hard sell. And then I just want to introduce our next webinar, which is coming up. We're going to do that after, it'll be the beginning of November because it's half term at the end of October. So our next one is going to be called Help Teams Ate My Intranet, and specifically we're going to be talking about what you can see there, which is essentially your new intranet, which is now going to be sucked through into Teams following some huge announcements from Microsoft at Ignite last week. So if you've got questions about Teams and SharePoint and how they work together, we're going to really get stuck into that one next month. If you've got any questions, do get in touch, register for our next webinar, or just come and ask a question. And the last thing I just want to plug is if we just go to the last screen, I know there's some comms people on this call. One of the things that there was a project we did during lockdown, which is ongoing, which is a pro bono thing we did with a large PR company in the city, which was to try and connect comms people with organizations who are really struggling with their comms at the moment. So this might be something that you as individuals might be interested in, or you could share with people who might be furloughed or who are looking for work and want to have an opportunity to showcase their talent. It's a wonderful, wonderful cause, and it's basically just getting very skilled and very available comms people to come and help some of those essential organizations that have really been snowed under and struggling with their messaging. So that's just a plug for that. So spread the word, because we're trying to do everything we can, because obviously we can't really make PPE. So, you know, that's our bit to give. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, my ginger friends. And I hope that everyone enjoyed that, and we will talk to you, well, next month, but also soon if you'd like to get in touch. So please feel free to send us an email or give us a ring, and yeah, we'll see you on Teams. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
And my dog was really good. He slept through the